After you have written or accomplished your chapter 1 of your research paper, you will now proceed to the next chapter of your paper known as the related review of related literature and studies, or the RRLS. Now, before we proceed to the different guidelines on how you can write your RRLS, we must first need to distinguish the difference between related literature and related studies. Okay, so what is the difference between related literature and related studies? Now, these terms are often used interchangeably. However, they have, let's say, distinction from one another. When we say related literature, these are the, let's say, resource materials that contain general information about, let's say, various disciplines or subjects. So, let's say it contains broad or general knowledge about the different courses, subjects, or disciplines. Furthermore, when we say related literature, it contains the different writings, or let's say a collection of different writings of a country, or let's say of several organizations. And this includes books dealing with special subjects such as textbooks and workbooks. Okay, so meaning to say, when we say related literature, it has a broad scope when it comes to the discussion of different topics and disciplines. And what are the examples of related literature? So we have the following. Okay, it includes books, okay, textbooks, workbooks, encyclopedia, magazine, newspapers, and dictionaries. Okay, so these are the examples of related literature. So apart from this, we can also include, let's say, almanacs and atlases. Okay, so they contain general information about a particular topic or subject. Okay, in contrast, we have related studies. Now, if the related literature contains general information that are thoroughly read and researched throughout the years, the related studies are somewhat, let's say, more specific, or let's say more limited than the related literature. Why? Because related studies are actually products of research itself. Okay? Related studies are products of empirical knowledge. So when we say empirical knowledge, these are products of experimentations, observations, or the different processes of research. And also, related studies refers to the different investigations which are usually unpublished. Okay? So they are usually unpublished. They are usually only stored in the library and not released worldwide. Okay? So that is, let's say, the distinction between related literature and related studies. And what are the examples of related studies? Okay, so related studies include thesis, research manuscripts, abstracts, journals or research journals, investigatory projects such as your SIPs, and also dissertations. Dissertations are actually thesis for a doctoral degree. Okay, they are thesis for doctoral degree. So that is or these are the examples of related studies. So again, to reiterate once more, related literature are derived from general knowledge that are researched across the years. Okay, and they are, let's say, available worldwide and mostly published, officially published, while related studies are often left unpublished, and they are the, let's say, products of certain researches. Okay, now that we know the distinction between the related studies and related literature, we must now identify what are the characteristics, okay, or what are, let's say, the good features of a proper RRLS, or the characteristics of a good RRLS. So we have here the following example. So let us try to derive what are the characteristics of a good RRLS from the following examples. So we have here an example of an entry from, or let's say an excerpt from an RRLS. Okay? Similar to the study of Ragasa, Alimboyoguen, and Shen, okay, it was confirmed that Katmon exhibited antimicrobial properties as it had, let's say, efficiency in attenuating certain species of fungus and bacteria. Okay, so we have here the key term similar. Okay, so whenever we say similar, what does it mean? Does it mean that it shows relevance to a certain concept? So obviously the answer is yes. So meaning to say your RRLS must show relevance, or let's say it must show a strong connection to your current study. Okay? So it must show a strong connection or relevance to your current study. Therefore, a good RRLS is known to be relevant. Okay, and whenever we say relevant, it should contain, or let's say it must have a strong connection with the current study. So if we have a strong connection to, let's say, if an RRLS has a strong connection to your current study, it can show different, let's say, similarities. It can show various similarities across the two studies. And having similarities from different studies can, let's say, support your findings. Okay, so that is the importance of a relevant RRLS. Next, we have here another example. So we have, okay, so we have here, let's say, encircled numbers. So sorry about this one. So it must be, the 2009 must be encircled rather than this. Okay, so in this example, we have encircled different numbers from this excerpt. And these numbers indicate the date of publication. Date of publication. So what can you notice about these dates of publication? Okay, 2012, 2017, 2014, 2014. Okay, so are they beyond 10 years ago? Are they beyond 10 years ago? Obviously, they are not beyond 10 years ago. So meaning to say, are they obsolete or are they updated? Okay, so this publication dates are actually updated publication dates. So meaning to say, your RRLS must be updated. It must not be obsolete. And when can we say that an RRLS is updated? So an RRLS is updated if the date of publication does not exist beyond 10 years ago. However, there is an exemption to the rule. You can cite sources from beyond 10 years ago if the source, or let's say if the RRLS is still applicable to the present time. And what are those RRLS that are applicable in our present time? Those are the laws, the theories, and the scientific principles. Okay, so that is another characteristic of a good RRLS. Is the date of publication shall not exceed beyond 10 years ago, so that you can show that your sources are updated. Okay, next. Okay, so in our example here, okay, we have here, we have highlighted these citations, okay, and these citations, let's say, tells us, okay, this citation tells us that our study are based from trusted sources. They are let's say they are based from facts. Okay, they are factual. And when we have factual evidence coming from our RRLS, it means that our study is deemed to be reliable. Okay, so that is another characteristic of a good RLS. It must be reliable. So when we say reliable, it must be trusted, and it must be based on reality. Okay, we must avoid data that are considered to be fictitious. All data must be factual. Okay, so factual in a sense that, let's say, the data or the information presented is consistent throughout the years of referencing. Okay, so this is one reason why you should not use Wikipedia, because Wikipedia as a, let's say, platform where you can find resources is deemed to be unreliable because several, let's say, common people have access to edit this website. And we can never know if the edited info in this website is considered to be factual or fictitious. Okay, so you must learn how to fact check your information or your resources so that you can say that it is reliable. Okay, and last but not the least, so we have here this example. Okay. LIM 2012 articulated that there are no released materials authenticating that the Linia philippinensis withhold nutrients. Okay. To confirm the presumption that these compounds where D. califilensis leaves carry antimicrobial attributions, okay, we use chromatography. And then we have here researches assessed, and we have here eventually to be fully recognized, as well as lack of enough studies. Okay, so notice, class, how contrasting these statements, the highlighted statements, are from one another. And from these contrasting statements, we can say that there are sides that are considered to be positive, and there are sides that are considered to be negative. And when we have information that are contrasting from one another, is it biased? Obviously, if we have contrasting information, it means that we are two-sided. And if we are two-sided, it means that we do not lean to any biases. Therefore, a good RRLS must be objective. Okay? It must not contain any biases. So we must avoid extremely one-sided ideas and opinions. So in searching for our RLS, you must be open to both positive and negative side of the information. Okay? And we must apply a technique known as comparing and contrasting. Okay? So that will be discussed in our next video presentation, the different techniques on how you can write your RRLS.